Welcome to a journey through the message. My name is Robert.
My name is Heidi.
Man, we are excited to be back with you. It's been so long.
It has been a while. I've missed everybody. I've missed doing this with you.
We have had a very busy week and a half or so. We traveled down to Chicago last weekend. I spoke at a church, and it's been just a crazy busy week for us. And unfortunately, sometimes some things have to get put on pause, but that's just how life rolls sometimes.
Life does happen that way. So it's been quite a week and a half. I'm just going to give I'm just going to ask for a little prayer situation over my oldest child who very unexpectedly, last week lost a friend of 27 years, very unexpectedly at work.
And I mean, this is a friend of yours too, like you knew
this young man. They moved in next door to us when I believe he was 4 years old, and that friendship has been consistent since that time, no matter where they've moved, where they've gone. And he's only in his early 30s. I think he was 32 years old and died of pulmonary embolism at work very unexpectedly, and it's kind of basically a large clot that blocked off all blood flow, and it's not typically anything that anything can be done of. It happens without warning, and that's what happened here. He was in Colorado, so a distance away, and family has gone out there to retrieve his body.
Well, we will definitely keep them.
Yes,
in our
please,
prayers, so.
Please do. My oldest especially. This was a tough one. So,
well, Father God, you know how to speak to us in those moments. We've been in those moments before. I have. Heidi has. Probably some of our listeners have too. And those are tough moments, and sometimes those are tough conversations with you. Sometimes we don't even have the words to say when those things are happening. But you know how to read our heart. You know that special language that's inside without us even having to verbalize anything. So
thank you for that, God.
Just be there for Kenny's family and Vanessa and anybody that knew this young man. I know he had to have made an impact on somebody's life.
He did.
And so just be with the family and be with anybody that's, just going through it right now in that way. If you've lost someone, our hearts are going out to you today too. If you're going through that loss, that just an ache inside of your heart because you're missing someone, I get that. I've been there. So I know that my God is big enough to care for that little spot in your heart. So, Father God, be with us today as we read, and bless this reading and bless our listeners today. I ask this all in your holy name, I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's been surprising how there's been moments since finding this out that have just kind of hit me right in the gut and right in the heart, and just the memories of watching those two grow up together, and to realize that
he was a little guy.
I've known him, other than his first 4 years, he's been a part of our family's life because of his friendship with my child. So,
well, we are going to be picking back up. If you remember, the last time we left on kind of a cliffhanger in Matthew 18. And so I'm going to be picking up here and finishing out Matthew 18, and we will go from there. So this is Matthew 18, verses 15 through 35. If a fellow believer hurts you, go and tell him. Work it out between the two of you. If he listens, you've made a friend. If he won't listen, take one or two others along so that the presence of witnesses will keep things honest. And try again. If he still won't listen, tell the church. If he won't listen to the church, you'll have to start over from scratch. Confront him with the need for repentance and offer again God's forgiving love. Take this most seriously. A yes on earth is yes in heaven. A no on earth is no in heaven. What you say to one another is eternal. I mean this. When two of you get together on anything at all on earth and make a prayer of it, my Father in heaven goes into action. And when 2 or 3 of you are together because of me, you can be sure that I'll be there. At that point, Peter got up the nerve to ask, Master, how many times do I forgive a brother or sister who hurts me? 7? Jesus replied, 7? Hardly. Try 70 times 7. The kingdom of God is like a king who decided to square accounts with his servants. As he got underway, one servant was brought before him who had run up a debt of $100,000. He couldn't pay up, so the king ordered the man, along with his wife, children, and his goods, to be auctioned off at the slave market. The poor wretch threw himself at the king's feet and begged, "Give me a chance, and I'll pay it all back." Touched by his plea, the king let him off, erasing the debt. The servant was no sooner out of the room when he came upon one of his fellow servants who owed him $10. He seized him by the throat and demanded, "Pay up, now." The poor wretch threw himself down and begged, "Give me a chance and I'll pay it all back." But he wouldn't do it. He had him arrested and put in jail until the debt was paid. When the other servants saw this going on, they were outraged and brought a detailed report to the king. The king summoned the man and said, "You evil servant, I forgave your entire debt when you begged me for mercy. Shouldn't you be compelled to be merciful to your fellow servant who asked for mercy?" The king was furious and put the screws to the man until he paid back his entire debt. And that's exactly what my Father in heaven is going to do to each one of you who doesn't forgive unconditionally anyone who asks for mercy. And friends, that's the end of chapter 18. There's a couple rhetorical questions here. I'm just going to read these real quick. It says, reflect on a time that you were hurt by someone. How did you respond? How is your relationship with that person now? How might the stories and instruction in Matthew 18 inform you how you should respond? What can you do to restore that relationship?
Oh,
that was a lot, huh? I love the analogy, though, not where he brought it into play just with the money, because it shows like $100,000, and this king said, "You're forgiven." And then his servant's coming up with, $10. $10.
Mm-hmm. And wouldn't forgive.
Yeah.
How interesting to read that one after a message I had just gotten.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time putting into words how I'm feeling right now. Matthew 18 is used a lot.
Misused a lot.
That's exactly the point I was going to get to. And I had just concrete proof yet that over 25 years later, I'm still being Matthew 18 in the complete wrong way. And I'm realizing it's because they're not coming in love. It's a demand and it's an expectation, and we want you to look like this, and this is what you have to do, and we'll do what we have to do once you do this.
Yes.
And it's just not the right way to go about it. And it just kind of cemented in me that God has brought me to exactly the place I need to be. It was an absolute reminder of His grace and His mercy to take me out of that environment, because God doesn't make me earn His love.
No.
So I'm glad that you read that today because I would have struggled to get through that one.
And I wanted you to really listen to that. I read it before we read, and I wanted you to listen to that. And I loved the analogies in there, and I knew it made it personal and very real. So,
yeah, it absolutely did. And I can say without a doubt, my heart, my soul, my conscience is standing here free and clear and completely covered and forgiven by my amazing God, that some people make him so very small, and I pity them because they are missing out on the absolute joy that there is to be found in our God. And I'll leave it at that.
And now Heidi will be moving over to Acts, and you will be finishing out. It is chapter 25, verse 13 through 27.
A few days later, King Agrippa and his wife Bernice visited Caesarea to welcome Festus to his new post. After several days, Festus brought up Paul's case to the king. I have a man on my hands here, a prisoner left by Felix. When I was in Jerusalem, the high priests and Jewish leaders brought a bunch of accusations against him and wanted me to sentence him to death. I told them that wasn't the way we Romans did things. Just because a man is accused, we don't throw him out to the dogs. We make sure the accused has a chance to face his accusers and defend himself of the charges. So when they came down here, I got right on the case. I took my place in the courtroom and put the man on the stand. The accusers came at him from all sides, but their accusations turned out to be nothing more than arguments about their religion and a dead man named Jesus, who the prisoner claimed was alive. Since I'm a newcomer here and don't understand everything involved in cases like this, I asked if he'd be willing to go to Jerusalem and be tried there. Paul refused and demanded a hearing before His Majesty in our highest court. So I ordered him returned to custody until I could send him to Caesar in Rome. Agrippa said, I'd like to see this man and hear his story. Good, said Festus. We'll bring him in first thing in the morning and you'll hear it for yourself. The next day, everybody who is anybody in Caesarea found his way to the great hall, along with the top military brass. Agrippa and Bernice made a flourishing grand entrance and took their places. Festus then ordered Paul brought in. I love that he sets up a scene. Like I'm reading it and I'm just picturing this and the robes coming in as he and, everybody's
a bunch
sitting.
of pomp and circumstance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Festus said, King Agrippa and distinguished guests, take a good look at this man. A bunch of Jews petitioned me first in Jerusalem and later here to do away with him. They have been most vehement in demanding his execution. I looked into it and decided that he had committed no crime. He requested a trial before Caesar, and I agreed to send him to Rome. But what am I going to write to my master, Caesar? All the charges made by the Jews were fabrications, and I've uncovered nothing else. That's why I brought him before this company, and especially you, King Agrippa, so we can come up with something in the nature of a charge that will hold water. For it seems to me silly to send a prisoner all the way for a trial and not be able to document what he did wrong. Wouldn't you think that the fact that they're putting their heads together trying to come up with something to charge him with says maybe we don't have a case here? Yeah. Meanwhile, Paul's just sitting there going, yep, that's right.
I'm sitting here waiting for my ride.
I know. What you got? Nothing. That's what I told you. Just ask me.
And he never shied down either.
Never. Never. I picture him standing, head up, right there, just waiting, listening, observing everything, knowing he's right. He knows the law. And I like how God is setting this up to get him to Rome.
There has been a few things over the last few weeks where people have tried to accuse you of some things or maybe tarnish your good name.
What?
I know,
Me?
your good name.
Oh, boy.
But you have handled it with grace. and you have come back very factually. Many times it's turned out where the person has said, "Oh, I'm sorry," and
I was
and
wrong.
then the conversation turns for the better. But I appreciate how you have handled it with grace and you haven't lashed out. I can see a huge change in you in that area from 3-4 years ago.
It's remarkable. And I think when you are so confident where you stand with God, people don't concern you anymore. The other thing that I've learned, I openly owned everything. I will talk openly about something I've done. I will clarify it. I'll even throw extra in because I found it makes people a little uncomfortable because not only did she clarify it, she actually gave us even more that we didn't ask for. And I found that there's utter freedom in the transparency. I have no fear and I have no reason to be. I am loved and forgiven by God. I have nothing to be ashamed of.
Right.
Absolutely nothing. And I appreciate people that can come back and say, "We're so sorry. We were wrong about you." And in turn, I've had the chance to see these same people in return have defended my name to the other people that are attacking me. And they have literally publicly stood up and said, "But have you talked with her?" And they will describe their interactions with me. And I can't explain how it felt to see their words saying, "She treated us with so much kindness and love when we didn't deserve it." And that felt good because it's what Jesus called me to do.
I see it in action. So,
Trying.
Absolutely. And now, for everyone's favorite part, I've missed it. I know you've missed it. Let's rewind back to the Old Testament.
Oh, I've missed David.
I know Heidi's going to be reading today out of Psalms chapter 41.
All right, I can't wait. Dignify those who are down on their luck. You'll feel good. That's what God does. God looks after us all, makes us robust with life. Lucky to be in the land we're free from enemy worries. Just like I said, literally didn't know what I was going to be reading. God, I love you in those moments you give me. Whenever we're sick and in bed, God becomes our nurse, nurses us back to health. I said, "God, be gracious. Put me together again. My sins have torn me to pieces. My enemies are wishing the worst for me. They make bets on which day I will die. If someone comes to see me, he mouths empty platitudes, all the while gathering gossip about me to entertain the street corner crowd." You cannot tell me that God did not plan directly for us to read this today.
Today of all days.
Thank you, God. These friends who hate me whisper slanders all over town. They form committees to plan misery for me. The rumor goes out, he's got some dirty, deadly disease. The doctors have given up on him. Even my best friend, the one I always told everything, he ate meals at my house all the time, has bitten my hand. God, give grace, get me up on my feet. I'll show them a thing or two. Meanwhile, I'm sure you're on my side. No victory shouts yet from the enemy camp. You know me inside and out. You hold me together. You never fail to stand me tall in your presence so I can look you in the eye. Blessed is God, Israel's God, always, always, always. Yes, yes, yes.
I love you. What a beautiful psalm. If you had bets on Heidi crying, you would be winning right now. Go ahead and cash that ticket at window 3.
I am so thankful that God's timing is perfect. It's been it's been heavy. Sometimes it might look like I hold up great and I'm doing just fine with all this stuff that I find myself facing sometime, but I'm not going to lie and say the past few days have really caught up with me. I've really missed being away from this, and I'm starting to see now why it just didn't work to do it until now. I have a God that knew. He had the exact right words ready for me.
Yeah.
When I got through this phase. So
yes.
Thank you, God.
God is so good all the time.
All the time.
God is good. And now I'll be ending the day in Leviticus, and this will be chapters 11, 12, and 13. Thanks again for joining along. If you're with us today for the first time, maybe you've been listening to all 40-some episodes that we have, whatever it is, we're happy that you're along on this journey with us for real. Like, this is a little piece of our life while we read the Bible, and we are happy to have you along. And we love going through some of the tough stuff together.
Mm-hmm.
Like, these are some tender moments for us, and we're happy to share that because there is light at the end of the tunnel. There is a God who has been sustaining us through this. So
for sure,
we share and are open with things like that to offer you a measure of hope.
Yes, and to show you it's good to be open and raw.
Absolutely.
And then I was also going to say, for anyone taking, bets on when Robert's going to start crying as he's reading Leviticus, it probably won't happen unless he gets to 17 verses of nonstop names. That sometimes puts him in a corner with a bunch of tears, but I think we're going to be safe today.
It's either the names or the detailed instructions for offerings.
I realize Robert is not a seamstress because he was describing how these garments were to be made. In my mind is immediately, I'm picturing all of it. I've got this whole ensemble pictured and the stitching and the coloring and where it fits and where it sits. And Robert's glazed over, I don't get it.
Oh, friends. Well, that's why we are built differently, right? Everybody, every little piece of the body has its own.
Yes. I've actually been enjoying Leviticus, though, because my God is a God that's in all the details. He doesn't miss even the little things, and that's comforting.
So here we go. Leviticus chapter 11. We're talking about food.
Oh, that's one of my favorite subjects.
Yeah, all right. Let's see what he says here. So God spoke to Moses and Aaron. Oh, had to get that one in there. Speak to the people of Israel. Tell them, of all the animals on earth, these are the animals that you may eat. You may eat any animal that has a split hoof, divided in two, and that chews the cud, but not an animal that only chews the cud or only has a split hoof. For instance, the camel chews the cud, but doesn't have a split hoof, so it's unclean. The rock badger chews the cud, but doesn't have a split hoof, so it's unclean.
What is a rock badger?
It's a badger that collects rocks. I mean, you've never seen a rock badger? So, the rabbit chews the cud, but doesn't have a split hoof, so is unclean. The pig has a split hoof divided in two, but doesn't chew the cud, and so is unclean. You may not eat their meat nor touch their carcasses. They are unclean to you. Among the creatures that live in the water of the seas and streams, you may eat any that have fins and scales. But anything that doesn't have fins and scales, whether in seas or streams, whether small creatures in the shallows or huge creatures in the deeps, you are to detest. Yes, detest them. Don't eat their meat. Detest their carcasses. Anything living in the water that doesn't have fins and scales is detestable to you.
Did you get that point?
I did, yeah. It was detestable. Yeah, God's not playing with that one. These are the birds you are to detest. Don't eat them. They are detestable. Eagle, vulture, osprey, kite, all falcons, all ravens, ostrich, nighthawk, seagull, all hawks, owl, cormorant, ibis, water hen, pelican, Egyptian vulture, a stork, all herons, a hoopoe, and bats. Listen, I so agree with that last one. There is nothing that scares me worse than a bat. I don't know what it is. I absolutely hate bats.
I can't even
I have
say
some
we have
very
them outside. I have to call them night sparrows.
Yeah, we don't call them bats out here. We call them night sparrows. I can't stand them. They're like little flying rats to me.
Robert, how does your wife feel about them?
I'm glad I have a wife that can save me.
Your wife thinks that they're wonderful.
All flying insects that walk on all fours are detestable to you, but you can eat some of these, namely those that have jointed legs for hopping on the ground. All locusts, katydids, crickets, and grasshoppers. But all other flying insects that have 4 legs, you are to detest. You will make yourselves ritually unclean until evening if you touch their carcasses. If you pick up one of their carcasses, you must wash your clothes, and you'll be unclean until evening. Every animal that has a split hoof that's not completely divided, or that doesn't chew the cud, is unclean for you. If you touch the carcass of any of them, you become unclean. Every 4-footed animal that goes on its paws is unclean for you. If you touch its carcass, you are unclean until evening. If you pick up its carcass, you must wash your clothes and are unclean until evening. They are unclean for you.
So no dogs and cats.
That's what it sounds like.
Oh, good.
Oh, yeah. Among the creatures that crawl on the ground, the following are unclean for you: weasel, rat, all lizards, a gecko, monitor lizard, a wall lizard, a skink, and a chameleon. Among the crawling creatures, these are unclean for you. If you touch them, even when they are dead, you are ritually unclean until evening. When one of them dies and falls on something, that becomes unclean no matter what it's used for, whether it's made of wood, cloth, hide, or sackcloth. Put it in the water. It's unclean until evening, and then it's clean. If one of these dead creatures falls into a clay pot, everything in the pot is unclean, and you must break the pot. Any food that could be eaten but has water on it from such a pot is unclean, and any liquid that could be drunk from it is unclean. Anything that one of the carcasses falls on is unclean. An oven or a cooking pot must be broken up. They're unclean and must be treated as unclean. A spring, though, or a cistern for collecting water remains clean, but if you touch one of these carcasses, you are ritually unclean. If a carcass falls on any seeds that are to be planted, they remain clean. But if water has been put on the seed and a carcass falls on it, you must treat it as unclean. So you definitely don't want dead bugs to fall on your seeds, because then you would have to take the seed.
But only if you watered them?
But only if you watered them.
Are they talking seed before it's... I'm a bit confused by some... I have some ideas that I'd like to mention after you're done.
No worries. If an animal that you are permitted to eat dies, anyone who touches the carcass is ritually unclean until evening. If you eat some of the carcass, you must wash your clothes, and you are unclean until evening. If you pick up the carcass, you must wash your clothes, and you are unclean until evening. Creatures that crawl on the ground are detestable and not to be eaten. Don't eat creatures that crawl on the ground, whether on their belly or on all fours or on many feet. They are detestable. Don't make yourselves unclean or be defiled by them, because I am your God. Make yourselves holy, for I am holy. Don't make yourselves ritually unclean by any creature that crawls on the ground. I am God who brought you up out of the land of Egypt. Be holy, because I am holy. These are the instructions on animals, birds, fish, and creatures that crawl on the ground. You have to distinguish between the ritually unclean and the clean, between living creatures that can be eaten and those that cannot be eaten.
Oh.
Did you want to talk about that chapter for a second?
So I found it just really interesting, and I'm thinking about it, but a lot of the things that you're like, well, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense
Sure.
why this one's okay and that one's not okay. But you can start to, and I could be way wrong, I often am, but a lot of the unclean animals are animals that are scavengers and they
Yes.
eat dead
Oh,
things.
yeah.
And I think that I have heard before that a lot of these rules, while it may sound odd to us, is literally to keep them healthy. It keeps them
Yeah.
from getting sick.
Yep. No,
So-
I've heard that too, that it's a protection thing. They just
Right.
didn't have a lot of and the scavenger birds would be eating diseased old meat
Right.
that may be it's like the vultures of today.
Mm-hmm.
You walk by, you see a deer carcass and
Yes.
they're,
Well, in like even the, like no shellfish or anything, but those are
Mhm.
bottom feeders. They
Right.
they kept the waters clean and they ate all the dead stuff and dead whatever fell to the stuff. That's what they
Yep.
ate. So I'm imagining that's why no shrimp and lobster for them.
All right. Now we're Leviticus chapter 12. Here's a chapter I know a whole lot about. Here we go. It's titled Childbirth. I don't know anything about childbirth. I promise you that. God spoke to Moses. Tell the people of Israel, a woman who conceives and gives birth to a boy is ritually unclean for 7 days, the same as during her menstruation. On the 8th day, circumcise the boy. The mother must stay home another 33 days for purification from her bleeding. She may not touch anything holy or enter the sanctuary until the days of her purification are complete. If she gives birth to a girl, she is unclean for 14 days, the same as during her menstruation. She must stay home for 66 days for purification from her bleeding. When the days for her purification for either a boy or a girl are complete, she will bring a yearling lamb for a whole burnt offering and a pigeon or a dove for an absolution offering to the priest at the entrance of the tent of meeting. He will offer it to God and make atonement for her. She is then clean from her flow of blood. These are the instructions for a woman who gives birth to either a boy or a girl. If she can't afford a lamb, she can bring 2 doves or 2 pigeons, one for the whole burnt offering and one for the absolution offering. The priest will make atonement for her, and she will be clean. Do you want to chat about that before we go on to chapter 13?
No, I think I want to research first because I don't know why
are
it
they
was such
picking
a
on girls?
punishment to have a baby girl.
Well, think of it this way. You get double the time off.
I do believe they had to go outside the camp and stay by themselves.
Oh, that's no fun.
I'm going to research before I talk about this because, well,
No, I hear you.
And I know, and I'm joking about that, but I am serious that I do want to research this so I have the accurate understanding of it. It's those chapters and verses that people can look at and use as saying, I want nothing to do with this. That's ridiculous. Women aren't lesser. We're not
Right.
inferior. We shouldn't punish somebody longer
Sure.
because they gave birth to a girl or all these kind of things. It sounds incredibly unfair.
Yeah.
So I want to find out what the reason was for it because I know that God does not hate women.
We are going to continue on.
Let's do it.
Marching forward with Leviticus chapter 13. That's right. Strap on your seatbelts on your camel and get ready. Here we go. We're talking about infections.
Oh, good. I'm retired from the medical field. I'm ready. I can talk about this one. I know quite a bit.
All right, let's see how much of this makes sense here. All right, infections. Let's see what God has to say. God spoke to Moses and Aaron. When someone has a swelling or a blister or a shiny spot on the skin that might signal a serious skin disease on the body, bring him to Aaron the priest or to one of his priest's sons. The priest will examine the sore on the skin. If the hair in the sore has turned white and the sore appears more than skin deep, it is a serious skin disease and infectious. After the priest has examined it, he will pronounce the person unclean. If the shiny spot on the skin is white, but appears to be only on the surface and the hair has not turned white, the priest will quarantine the person for 7 days. We know all about quarantines. 7 days is going to be 3 years later. Don't do it. On the 7th day, the priest will examine it again. If in his judgment the sore is the same and has not spread, the priest will keep him in quarantine for another 7 days. See what I'm telling you? It doesn't end.
I now picture just lines of people waiting to get their skin looked at by the priest. They're busy.
They are busy.
I do appreciate the fact that God is very clearly helping them understand what could be infectious or not infectious, and there's signs and stuff of that. I understand the health ramifications for that and why they'd need to be quarantined. You don't want everybody to have those white hairs and their white spots that go below the surface.
Yeah. On the 7th day, the priest will examine it again. If in his judgment the sore is the same and has not spread, the priest will keep him in quarantine for another 7 days. On the 7th day, the priest will examine him a second time. If the sore has faded and hasn't spread, the priest will declare him clean. It is a harmless rash. The person can go home and wash his clothes. He is clean. But if the sore spreads after he has shown himself to the priest and has been declared clean, he must come back to the priest, who will conduct another examination. If the sore has spread, the priest will pronounce him unclean. It is a serious skin disease and infectious. Whenever someone has a serious and infectious skin disease, you must bring him to the priest. The priest will examine him. If there is a white swelling in the skin, the hair is turning white, and there is an open sore in the swelling, it is a chronic skin disease. The priest will pronounce him unclean. But he doesn't need to quarantine him because he's already given his diagnosis of unclean. If a serious disease breaks out that covers all the skin from head to foot, wherever the priest looks, the priest will make a thorough examination. If the disease covers his entire body, he will pronounce the person with the sore clean. Since it has turned all white, he is clean. But if they are open, running sores, he is unclean. The priest will examine the open sores and pronounce him unclean. The open sores are unclean. They are evidence of a serious skin disease. But if the open sores dry up and turn white, he is to come back to the priest, who will re-examine him. If the sores have turned white, the priest will pronounce the person with the sores clean. He is clean. When a person has a boil and it heals, and in place of the boil there is white swelling or a reddish white shiny spot, the person must present himself to the priest for an examination. If it looks like it has penetrated the skin and the hair in it has turned white, the priest will pronounce him unclean. It is a serious skin disease that has broken out in a boil. But if the examination shows that there is no white hair in it and it is only skin deep and has faded, the priest will put him in quarantine for 7 days. If it then spreads over the skin, the priest will diagnose him as unclean. It is infectious. But if the shiny spot has not changed and hasn't spread, it's only a scar from the boil. The priest will pronounce him clean. When a person has a burn on his skin and the raw flesh turns into a reddish white or a white shiny spot, the priest is to examine it. If the hair has turned white on the shiny spot and it looks like it's more than skin deep, a serious skin disease has erupted in the area of the burn. The priest will pronounce him unclean. It is a serious skin disease and infectious. But if on examination there is no white hair in the shiny spot and it doesn't look to be more than skin deep but has faded, the priest will put him in quarantine for 7 days. On the 7th day, the priest will re-examine him. If by then it has spread over the skin, the priest will diagnose him as unclean. It is a serious skin disease and infectious. If by that time the shiny spot has stayed the same and has not spread, but has faded, it is only a swelling from the burn. The priest will pronounce him clean. It's only a scar from the burn. If a man or woman develops a sore on the head or chin, the priest will offer a diagnosis. If it looks as if it's under the skin and the hair in it is yellow and thin, he will pronounce the person ritually unclean. It is an itch, an infectious skin disease. But if when he examines the itch, he finds it is only skin deep and there is no black hair in it, he will put the person in quarantine for 7 days. On the 7th day, he will re-examine the sore. If the itch has not spread, there is no yellow hair in it, and it looks as if the itch is only skin deep, the person must shave, except for the itch. The priest will send him back to quarantine for another 7 days. If the itch has not spread and looks to be only skin deep, the priest will pronounce him clean. The person can go home and then wash his clothes. He is clean. But if the itch spreads after being pronounced clean, the priest must re-examine it. If the itch has spread in the skin, he doesn't have to look any further for yellow hair, for instance. He is unclean. But if he sees that the itch is unchanged and black hair has now begun to grow in it, the itch is healed. The person is clean, and the priest will pronounce him clean. When a man or woman gets shiny or white shiny spots on the skin, the priest is to make an examination. If the shiny spots are dull white, it is only a rash that has broken out. The person is clean. When a man loses his hair and goes bald, he is clean. If he loses his hair from his forehead, he is bald and is clean. But if he has a reddish-white sore on scalp or forehead, it means that a serious skin disease is breaking out. The priest is to examine it. If the swollen sore on his scalp or forehead is reddish-white like the appearance of the sore of a serious skin disease, he has a serious skin disease and is unclean. The priest has to announce him unclean and pronounce him unclean because of the sore on his head. Any person with a serious skin disease must wear torn clothes, leave his hair loose and unbrushed, cover his upper lip, and cry out, "Unclean, unclean," as long as anyone has the sores. That one continues to be ritually unclean. That person must live alone. He or she must live outside the camp. If clothing, woolen or linen clothing, woven or knitted cloth of linen or wool, leather or leather work, is infected with a patch of serious fungus, and if the spot in the clothing or the leather or the woven or knitted material or anything made of leather is greenish or rusty, that is a sign of serious fungus. Show it to the priest. The priest will examine the spot and then confiscate the material for 7 days.
I didn't realize that. I guess I overlooked the fact that the priests were incredibly busy with a lot of things.
They had a lot of examinations going on here. So here we go. On the 7th day, he will re-examine the spot. If it has spread in the garment, the woven or knitted or leather material, it is the spot of a persistent, serious fungus, and the material is unclean. He must burn the garment. Because of the persistent and contaminating fungus, the material must be burned. But if when the priest examines it, the spot has not spread in the garment, the priest will command the owner to wash the material that has the spot, and he will confiscate it for another 7 days. He'll then make another examination after it has been washed. If the spot hasn't changed in appearance, even though it hasn't spread, it is still unclean. Burn it up, whether the fungus has attacked the back or the front. If, when the priest makes his examination, the spot has faded after it has been washed, he is to tear the spot from the garment. But if it reappears, it is a fresh outbreak. Throw whatever has the spot in the fire. If the garment is washed and the spot has gone away, Then wash it a second time. It is clean. These are the instructions regarding a spot of serious fungus in clothing of wool or linen, woven or knitted material, or any article of leather, for pronouncing them clean or unclean. And that, my friends, is how you don't get infected, have a baby really proficiently, and make sure your belt is clean.
And eat the proper animals.
And eat proper animals. We got it all here today on Leviticus. That's right.
I thought this whole trying to figure out this new vegan way of eating was complicated. My mind is spinning with all these...
So many rules and regulations.
Oh. And then what if you accidentally touched a dead bug? Like, I didn't mean to, but there they are. And
how many people do you think were like sweeping up in their house, and then they touch a dead bug and they're like looking around like, okay, I'm pretty sure nobody saw me.
But God sees it.
I don't want to go.
God sees it.
I understand that, but like...
So are they going to get struck by, we saw what happened to Aaron's sons.
I know.
They didn't eat the stuff. They just burned it all. Or no, I think that's Aaron. I got that wrong. But they did something wrong and fire came down. I'm pretty sure the people were very willing to go show themselves to the priests after that. I would.
Another crazy journey through the Bible. I mean...
I don't mean to sound sacrilegious or anything. It's just so foreign to us in our way of thinking. And I constantly have to remind myself that God was actually protecting his people from harm and disease and keeping it contained and not spreading. So,
and we take so many of these things for granted because we've grown up with bleach. We've grown up with disinfectant.
Penicillin and medications.
Freezers for our meat. And, just all these things that we honestly take for granted.
Right. We can have a baby girl and come home the same day that someone who had a baby boy did.
Oh, my goodness.
I know.
But yeah, so God was really putting some guideposts, I think, up for their life. Like, this is the best. I don't want you to die. I don't want simple little things like an infection to take you out. Get it checked out. Don't be afraid to go talk to the priest. I love that church was that much of a part of their life, right?
Yes.
That I love that they were so interconnected and that there was a trust level there.
Right. This wasn't anything that was odd or foreign to them to do. After they'd given these rules and guidelines, it's just something that everybody did, and it was for the good of the community. Their medical care just looks very different than ours. Their food prep is very different than ours, and we have to remember that context matters.
It surely does.
Remember to do some research about why we had to be punished for having a daughter.
I'm anxious to see what the answer to that question is. I'm sure that there was something. I mean, there's been other verses that we've looked at where on the surface they look a little cringy, but when you start digging into them, it's really something else. So
I'm glad I'm a New Testament girl.
That's right. I'm glad I'm a New Testament guy. And friends, we're glad that you're on this journey through the message with us. We truly are. This podcast has been a lot of fun for us, and just doing this tonight again has reinstilled that little fire, and I hope that you have that little fire back inside of you, whatever that means. If it's just a little pep in your step, maybe you just take a second every day and look for a way to say something nice to someone.
I was just going to mention that. I was just going to challenge everybody to take the time to extend a kindness to somebody who's not expecting it.
Even if that's your significant other.
Or a stranger.
Ooh, or a stranger, which could be your significant other.
I hope not. For some people it is.
I know.
But,
and that could be, who knows?
Yeah, just practice kindness. I'm going to promise you.
Fun.
You feel a whole lot better at the end of the day.
The way that God blesses you. I mean, the little things like that I'll do, whether it's like tomorrow, we're going to have a little dress up day.
Yes.
We're doing a little fun thing with some friends. We can't wait. And we love doing the dress up thing because the conversations I have with people are 34% better 78% of the time.
Yes.
I mean, they're just amazing. I love it.
Me too. I'm going to say thank you to you, husband, for the kindnesses you've been showing to me. You've been my right-hand man, literally, since my right hand has been taken out of commission. For those of you that have been, that know that I have this little splint thing on my hand, keeping my thumb from being used because of some tendon injuries. I am having surgery next month on that, so just keep that little hand in prayer. And so at least I have a timeline, but I'm looking at 10 weeks yet of my hand like this. So say a prayer over me, because patience wears thin sometimes.
She's very stubborn. She goes into the kitchen and does the majority of stuff still all by herself, and I continually tell her, just let me help. I have to force myself now to go into the kitchen when I hear, I'm like, I hear her in the kitchen. I need to go in there.
I do ask for help with my sweet dogs, though, because they hop up on my lap when I'm studying for school. And I can't pick them up and set them down because my hand doesn't work properly, my dominant hand. And I accidentally kind of dropped poor Bonnie. Bless her heart. She completely forgave me and didn't seem bothered. I was upset. She wasn't at all. But so I will ask you. I always ask for that.
Yes, absolutely. Friends, thanks so much for joining along today. It's been a pleasure to have you along on this ride, and we look forward to seeing you again very soon here for episode number 45.
Ooh.
I know, we are plugging right along.
Yes, I can't wait to be back.
All right, we'll see you next time.